Hey everybody, welcome back to Board Games with the Family. This is my kind of final thoughts review summary, if you like, of Gravwell. It's very annoying because I just recorded about 10 minutes worth of final thoughts, and then my computer decided it didn't want to upload to YouTube. So here we go. Let's try again. So I think let's deal with the age first of all, shall we? So I said right at the beginning when I was doing the preamble stuff. The box says 15 plus on it. In fact, I was confused about this because I've played it a few times now, and I genuinely cannot think of any reason why this is 15 plus. So much so that I went to Twitter and spoke to Corey Young, the designer, and just said, what was the reason for this? Is there something I'm missing? And he basically said it's something to do with EU law. It's got small parts or something, and therefore it was to save having to print multiple labelling, if you like, for different countries. I'm not sure on that. I've played lots and lots of games before, which presumably all are the same in the EU. They don't say 15 plus, but essentially, I think what it is, it was a publishing decision rather than a game design decision to put it 15 plus. In fact, Corey himself on the Twitter conversation said that he could play it with a 6-year-old, and I don't disagree. I don't think there's anything massively complex in here. You're talking about playing 3 different coloured cards. I can't see why Benji couldn't play this. If you saw my Mice and Dice playthrough that I did where I had Benji on camera, I'm hoping to do that with Gravwell. I think he'd like this, but I just haven't had time to get it to the table with him, and I kind of wanted to do this because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So that's the age thing. I certainly would, if I was being really conservative about it, I'd say 10 plus. 15 plus is just forget about that. I'm sure there's a reason for it. So let's talk about components. I think first of all, you don't get much. You get 30 cards, deck of 26 plus the 4 emergency stops. You get 6 ship meeples or models, and you get a round marker, and you get the game board, and that's it. So you don't get much. Having said that, it's not the most expensive game. I think you can probably get it for around £25. So it's probably about right. But sometimes I think it's better to judge prices of games on how much are you going to use it, how much fun are you going to get out of it, rather than actually what you get in the box. So I think the price is okay. I think the components that are here I think are really good quality. I really quite like the artwork on the back of the cards, and in fact on the front of the cards are pretty cool as well. I don't know if it's going to pick up all the detail. It just kind of looks cool. It kind of looks spacey. The artwork on the back does match the game board, which I'm not going to get out here. The cards are, I think, pretty decent quality. They might be a little bit too shiny for some, but a bit too glossy, but I quite like them. I would probably sleeve them at some point, not because I'm a massive sleever, I don't normally sleeve most games, but in this it would really ruin it. If you know that someone is going to play the radium card, it would kind of ruin it a little bit. So I might sleeve them, I don't know. In terms of models, let's give you a close-up. These are the derelict ships, which I actually prefer these to the player ships, if I'm being perfectly honest. In terms of the size, if that's my thumb, and that's next to it, it's sort of about half a thumb length, if you like. That's a bendy bit. That's probably a better comparison. There you go. So it's kind of roughly a thumb size, if you like, or half a thumb. The player ships. I don't know if I'm being really silly about this, so I don't think anybody else notices this until I point it out to them. But does that remind you of anything? Am I just being really disgustingly minded? I don't know, maybe. But the front of the ship I just think looks really, really dodgy. But otherwise than that, they're fine. The colours all stand out perfectly well. That's a black one for comparison. They are the same size. And again, if I do the thumb comparison, I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this. There we go. So again, it's kind of roughly the same size. And again, they're decent quality. I've heard that some break in transport, apparently the yellow one, I don't know if there's anything particular with the yellow one. It seems sturdy enough to me. I think the base snaps off, but they seem fine. But one slight complaint, that is just, ugh. Yeah, I know it's only a round marker, but I think they could have done something a little bit different with that. But otherwise it's fine. Yeah, I don't have any complaints massively with the components. So, should you rush out and get this? I think it very much depends on the type of gamer you are. I think if you are a gamer that really likes to plan your moves and to think long term and to have the perfect kind of game engine and the perfect sequence of moves, I think this will frustrate you. I think there is so much randomness and or chaos in this. Yeah, we saw it both in the kind of rules overview demo that I did and then in the playthrough. The order in which players move and whether or not one player decides to emergency stop or not really affects everybody else, which is cool, and I like that. It's definitely player interaction, but it's sort of player interaction that isn't always controllable or isn't always planned, and therefore I just think would frustrate you if you're that kind of player that wants the control. I think this is a little bit too random. However, the game plays in around 30 minutes. I think it's 20 to 35 on the box, and it is around that. You know, it's one of those. I think that's pretty much spot on. So for me, I can forgive that randomness in the same way that I can forgive randomness of King of Tokyo. You know, which I think both fill that nice kind of filler spot. Not particular light filler, not like Zombie Dice, which is really really light, but that little filler where there's a little bit of strategy and a whole lot of luck, and the two kind of have to come together. And like King of Tokyo, there's those elements of, or those moments in the game where you're cursing or you're cheering or you're getting involved in what cards people play. You know, and you can be really really hosed when people play not necessarily the wrong card, but certainly a card you weren't expecting. You know, you're expecting them to move early and they don't, and you kind of, what are you doing? You know, it's those moments where because you have to try and guess what people are going to do. It's a bit like if you've played La Battaglia, which is a game I've played once, and frankly I will never play it again, probably because I played 6-player, which apparently is not the advised thing, but that was a similar kind of game where you have to try and get into people's heads and work out what they're going to play, but that was a lot heavier, that game. This is really really light. It's almost, you know, okay, if you will move back at times. I don't think you can go the whole game without moving backwards, and it's a case of do you take the hits? Do you emergency stop really early in that round? You know, I really like it. I really really like this game. It's a game that's not quite a party game, but it's a game that I think will get players involved. It will have those moments of cheering or of exclamations of different sorts, and I think as long as you know what you're getting into. This isn't a heavy strategy game. This is a light, well, it's not light, but it's a short, fun, chaotic filler, and I think it does it brilliantly. Now, other things I wanted to mention, I'm just going to slide over a sec and get the rulebook. There's a rulebook as well. You'll notice the matching graphics. So, just wanted to explain a couple of things. There are some variants that are in the rulebook here, which I haven't tried. Actually, that's a lie, I've tried one of them. But I don't know. I like the fact that they've given suggestions. So the first one is as a solo variant. Now, I've played the solo variant once. It is hard. You get 4 rounds, not 6. You have to make it all the way out. You have to basically play against a ghost ship. And the way it works basically is a ghost ship, you draw their card randomly. So you're trying to it's bad enough trying to guess what a player's going to do. Trying to guess what a random card draw is going to do. I tried it. I kind of got about maybe to halfway around the board after about 6 rounds. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's certainly tough. There is a solo play. Don't get this for the solo variant. If you're a solo gamer, I think there are better games out there for you. If you want this game, it's got the added benefit of having a solo variant. It's got quite an interesting variant which I quite like to play, which they call No Secrets. And essentially what you do in the card draft, all the cards are dealt face up, and when you take cards, you leave them face up until the draw is completed. So you know exactly what cards everybody else has got, and so it's more of that. Oh, I want to move for him, but I know he hasn't got anything. His highest card was the eye, so I know I can play any. It kind of has a bit more strategy, I think, behind it. Then there's a hardcore mode. This sounds tough. You can only use your emergency stop card once in the whole game, not once per round. And it says you may combine this with other variants. Then there's a warp gate activated. This essentially allows more than one player to win. So rather than the first player to reach a warp gate wins, when they reach a warp gate, they move off the board, and then that last round finishes. So the last whole round, not the last movement phase. So once all those 6 cards have been played, if anybody else manages to escape, then it's a shared victory. And then there's Chaos Theory, which I quite like the thought. I could see this one being combined with No Secrets quite nicely. So the Chaos Theory, the first movement phase of each round, you basically shuffle your cards, and the player next to you draws one randomly, plays it face down, everybody reveals. So it kind of, if No Secret takes a lot of the randomness out of it, the Chaos Theory brings it a little bit back. I could see them being combined quite nicely. So I haven't had a chance to play any of them yet. But I just thought I'd mention that they were there, particularly the solo variants. Again, just to recap that solo variant, it does say players 1 to 4 on the box, but I really don't recommend getting this if you are only going to play solo. If you want a game which plays your family, and if you're like me, you spend a lot of time in hotel rooms, and you want a game that you can play solo, absolutely get this. But get it as an added benefit, don't get it because of it. So, in summary, what do I think? I think it's a solid game. I really, really enjoy this, but just know what you're getting into. This isn't, I'll just recap this one more time, this is not a deep strategy game. This is a quick playing, or relatively quick playing, fun filler. So fast, fun filler, there we go, the 3 Fs. If you can accept that, and if that sounds something you want, absolutely get Gravwell. It's really, really good. And in fact, Gravwell versus King of Tokyo, I think if you're playing with less players, Gravwell works probably better. If you're only going to play with 2 or 3 players, I personally Gravwell over King of Tokyo. If you've got 5 or 6, you can't play Gravwell, and therefore King of Tokyo takes it. If you always play with 4, up to you. Get both. They're great. That's it for me. If you've got any comments, leave them below and I'll try and get back to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching and see you next time.